Hi, this is Doc Jones from the Homegrown Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine, and we have an exciting announcement. We've launched a brand new website called herbpet.com. I'm Doc Jones. I'm a veterinarian, been a veterinarian for about 30 years. I'm also a traditional naturopath and a clinical herbalist, founder of the Homegrown Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine. So I've been doing herbs for a long time, and I've been doing dogs for a long time. And I decided that it was about time that we got the dogs their own website and their own line of formulas, right? Because dogs are important. And, you know, it's funny because herbal medicine actually started with, at least formal written down herbal medicines, actually started with horses and dogs. All of the oldest traditional Chinese manuscripts about herbalism and acupuncture are for horses and dogs. And all the oldest Ayurvedic stuff from India is about livestock, right? Because it's bad if your kid dies, but it's really bad if your cow dies, right? It's almost like human herbalism was an afterthought. But anyway, there's a long history of using herbal medicines in animals. And like I said, as a veterinarian for the last 30 years, I've been using herbal medicines in animals all day, every day. And that's really where I got my herbal education, was in the vet clinic. Because as a veterinarian, I'm allowed to do whatever I want with your dog, right? Spend a lot of money to get a really expensive piece of paper on my wall that says I can do what I want with your dog. And so I treat gunshot wounds and gangrene and rattlesnake bites and septicemia and whatever I want with herbs in the veterinary clinic. And so when we started the Homegrown Herbalist School, and when we started the homegrownherbalist.net, the supplement company, when I designed all those formulas, I made them so that they would work in animals too. Whether it's a dog or a goat or your cat, you can use those formulas there too. But I decided after years and years that it was finally time for the dogs to get a little more very specific attention. And so we've set up a new website called herbpet.com. On that site, there's several formulas that are really fine-tuned for dogs. And, the first thing that happened when I posted the announcement that we've got these dog formulas was everybody wrote me an email and said, hey, can I use it in my cat? And absolutely you can. All the formulas work in cats too. The only tricky part is getting the cat to take them. All right. Dogs are very amenable to taking herbs. If you throw a little powdered herb on their feed, they'll eat it. If they're fussy, put a little wet food with it and then they'll eat it. And unless they're Pomeranians, and then give them a tincture, right? But once in a while you get a little fussy dog says, that's not food. And they'll get a tincture. But otherwise, 9 out of 10 dogs, if you just mix the powdered herb with a little wet food, they'll wolf it down. Cats are very different. Cats are hard to get herbs into because if it doesn't smell exactly like food, their brain says it's not food. It's not an attitude thing. It's not a character flaw in the cat. They are hardwired that if the nose doesn't say it's food, they won't eat it. It's not food. They actually did a study on sinus infections in cats, rhinitis. And in humans, they've got that little Roto-Rooter machine, and they'll run it up your nose and clear your sinuses out, mechanically break down the sinuses so that things can flow better. It's a surgical procedure. And cats get bad sinus congestion and infections sometimes. And so some nice researchers said, hey, let's try this on kitties and see if we can help the poor kitties. And they reamed out their sinuses, and every single cat in that study died of starvation because they couldn't smell anymore. And if you can't smell, there's no such thing as food. Didn't matter how hungry they were, they could look at it. And if it didn't smell like food, it wasn't food. And so sometimes with herbs, it's hard to get cats to voluntarily take them. Sometimes they will. Sometimes if you mix it with a little fishy, strong-smelling canned food, they'll go for it. And some cats are more amenable to doing things like that than others. But that's the challenge. So yeah, all the formulas on herbpet.com will work in cats if you can get them into them. They certainly are easy to get into dogs. And most of the formulas on the site right now are, general health things. We've got a nutritive and prebiotic formula. And that formula contains all kinds of, vitamins and nutrients that dogs need. And you think about a dog being a predator, Well, why would a predator need plants and vegetables? Well, the fact is that a large percentage of the food that a predator eats is plant material. Think about it. What do they eat? What do wolves eat? They eat deer, right? They eat caribou. They eat rabbits. They eat mice. And mice and rabbits and deer and caribou are herbivores. And in their body, in the typical body of a ruminant like a deer, is about 20 gallons of plant material in their 4 stomachs, right? And so when a wolf pack kills a deer, the first thing they do is they eat the salad bar, right? They eat all of that plant material. And unfortunately, the pet industry thinks the only plant that our dogs need is corn, right? Factory farmed corn. And corn's the worst thing in the world for dogs. It's full of simple carbohydrates, increases inflammation, increases fat, decreases immunity. It's just bad for you to eat simple carbohydrates like that. And it's really bad for dogs. And so they're not getting the plant material they need. We're doing the same thing to their diet that we do to our diet, right? Too many simple carbs, not enough food. And so that nutritive and prebiotic formula does 2 things. First of all, it provides tons of amazing, nutritious plants. And second, it provides lots of plants that are prebiotics, right? And so what's a prebiotic? Well, a prebiotic is a plant that the bacteria of the gut love to eat, right? It's a plant in insoluble fibers like inulin that are the fundamental foundational food source for beneficial bacteria. So the nutritive prebiotic formula is just that. It feeds the dog. It feeds the gut bugs that are doing so many amazing things for the dog. And you put a little of that on their food every day and they just feel better about everything. We also have an infection immunity formula. We also have a Canine Calm, which is great for anxious dogs or restless dogs or frightened dogs. There's also a canine digestive support formula, which is good for about anything that goes on with their guts. Some dogs need that just all the time to make their guts happy. Some dogs, we just use it when they're having a little gut trouble, a little diarrhea, a little bit of gut discomfort for whatever reason. There's also a joint support formula, which is great for older dogs, helps with mobility, helps them when they start getting rickety and stoved up. That joint support really helps. Anyway, and there will be other formulas added here in the next few days as we get caught up with things and the dust settles a little bit. Anyway, this is Doc Jones from the Homegrown Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine. And swing by herbpet.com and have a look. And we thank you for your support. We thank you for your patronage. And we thank you for taking good care of your dogs.